What would you say is the ideal length of a short film?
That's hard. I mean, everyone usually says like 15 minutes, and yeah, I don't know, because I mean we have films that are 5 minutes, 7 minutes that are like incredible. We have films that are any number of lengths that are even in the 20s and up to 30 minutes that are incredible films. If the film is great, and again I always go back to this, if the film, if it's set out, no matter the length, if it's 30 minutes, for us it's 30 minutes or under. So, you know, some other, like the Academy is longer, I think it's 40 minutes. If a film is I'm trying to say this the right way, if it's the story is, if it's complete, the film is, you know, done very well with the production value and it's shot very, very well, and the actors are great, the story is good, the story is told, that, you know, that essentially the goal is reached, the story they wanted to tell has been told in a very, very strong manner, then it doesn't matter the length. We look at it like that. I mean, I don't want to, like, we don't want to program looking at something that's 30 minutes, say, oh, well, you know, it's really good, but it's just too long, you know, it's just 30 minutes. If we feel the film, it holds up against any other film, especially for its category, we have to program that film over others first. We don't want to, like, bump that film out because, oh, you know what, it's just too long. Now, granted, it does take into effect sometimes that films that are on the cusp, whether it's they got graded a little lower and it's hard to get in and you have only this much time, yeah, we might have to program like a film or two that's 15 minutes in length as opposed to 30 minutes because we can't fit it in that program. You know, say for instance we have a drama, you know, we have a drama category and it's and we already have an hour and a half programmed and we only have 15 minutes left to program for that slot, then yes, if a film is graded equally with another film, that can weigh in, you know, that we can't fit it, it just doesn't fit. So we'll have to push that aside and it might not make it in. But you know, it's again, I feel like it's just, if the story and acting are two things that I feel are very important, you know, that films we're watching, if the actors aren't strong or it's not holding up, your story's falling apart. I mean, you know, you're gonna lose attention and the film will not be very good. And story-wise, story is important as well. It's like, you know, you have people that have an idea that looks good and it's shot well and you're like, this looks great, and then the story doesn't take you anywhere and it just kind of lags. So you have maybe a 7-minute film, but it feels like it's 30 minutes, and the action doesn't move forward, and it's not telling the story you feel it was intended to tell. And so that's, you know, then there you go. So the runtime kind of doesn't matter. You know, it's like it's more about the story itself and the film itself than the runtime. So I kind of look at the quality. Really, the quality of film again is more important. If we feel like the story was told well for the means they had and all that, then that's most important. But in a general sense, it does help to have shorter films. If a film's really good and it's short, that's going to be easier to program. Clearly, there's going to be space for it, and it's going to be easier to slot into program. So, you know, yeah.
Is that also similar for documentary films as well? I know you have docs.
Yeah. I mean, it's somewhat. But documentaries tend to run longer. You know, most of the docs we get are longer in length. You know, they're usually not too short because obviously diving into a heavier subject matter, maybe, or trying to tell a story about a situation. You know, documentary in nature can't be too short, right? I mean, you know, if you're trying to really get into a story and getting to know someone's life or lives, or, you know, if it's a situation about, you know, something, say, you know, the factory workers getting laid off in the town and how that affects the town, you have to get into the story and really get to meet the people to really understand the scope. So those films are generally longer. So that is a programming challenge because we only usually have 2 programs max for documentaries, sometimes even 1. So that's what, 2 hours to 4 hours to fill, and that's it. So if you have 5 films that are 30 minutes in length, that's already, you filled your time up already. So that makes it challenging on that front. But those films have to be that way. I mean, again, documentaries, you know, are different in nature, so they kind of have to be a little bit longer. You know, generally the good docs I've seen.